So I think it's better to show up, even if your video is not perfect, even you make a grammar mistake. I still make grammar mistakes sometimes, and I don't care because it's my second language and it's always going to be. And if they care about that and not the value I bring, then they're not my audience. So it took me 10 years to accept this. I think I can say that. Don't wait to feel ready and have all the educations, all the perfect things on your plate to start. Just start.
Caring for others is part of your life, but it's not all of it. This is your space for growth, confidence, and connection to the whole you. Welcome to the Dali Talks podcast. Welcome back to the Dali Talks podcast. I have a recognizable face. You might have seen her before, Burcu Onaranel Erten, born and raised in Bursa, Turkey. And she has been on the podcast previously to talk about her coachings. She is a ICF accredited professional and motivational life coach. She has NLP master's. She's a NLP master's practitioner, Reiki level 2 practitioner, transcendental meditation, and she just has a wealth of knowledge that I think that you're going to find very interesting. And I really want you to think about how you could think of pursuing this profession because I think it's something that a lot of people need. And I think it's very fulfilling. So, Burcu, welcome back to the Dali Talks podcast.
Hi, Dali. Hi, everyone. It's good to be back. It's always great to chat with you, and I hope this will also benefit your audience.
So, let's get started and tell people how your journey began.
Whew, it is 12 years ago, I think more than 12. Today is 2025, 2013. Yeah, it's 12 years ago. I was a human resources specialist in Turkey, where I'm originally from. And I had everything most people dream about. It was my dream when I was a teenager. I wanted to become an HR manager. I wanted to work in an international company, have a car, friends, and have a secure life. That's what the society teaches us anyway. So when I had everything in that frame, happy frame, one day I thought, if somebody offered me the HR manager seat, I was an HR specialist at that time, and I thought I wouldn't take it. I don't want to take it. And that was my dream. That's what I spent my whole life, 23 years, learning, studying, doing everything, got in my internship and ending up the dream company that I wanted to work in. And now I don't want it. So, what was missing and what was wrong in my life? What was wrong about me? I was asking the wrong questions that I didn't know at that time with the neurolinguistic programming, NLP, and coaching. All those deep studies that I did, learned that I was asking wrong questions to myself because what society teaches us, and when you have those things and you're not happy, of course you're going to ask yourself, when everybody's happy, why am I not happy?
Yeah.
So I started doing a soul searching for me first, as a selfish person. I mean, everybody is the same. When you're not happy, you want to heal yourself first. And when you find something that works, then you want to share it with others. So I started searching how the mind works, why we do what we do, how can we be happy. And I found NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and professional life coaching. I remember I spent my 2 months salary in those trainings. They were expensive, they are still expensive, but it's definitely worth it. Even if you are not going to become a coach, I think it's so important to learn how the mind works and why do you do what you do and make better decisions in your life. There are tons of exercise and tools you learn along the training. And that's how I learned what I wanted to do in my life. I wanted to launch my own business. I wanted to do international work, become an international speaker, life coach, and work with entrepreneurs all around the world. But when I had that dream, I did not speak English and I didn't know anyone. I had no clue what was I gonna do. So that's the beginning of my story. I wanted to do something different, but I was stuck in my corporate job, stuck in my city, country, culture, and I quit everything. I left my whole 25-year life back in Turkey to the United States and start from scratch. That is the very beginning of my story.
Yes, and I had the honor of meeting you when you were
Yeah.
already into the beginning of your journey. But before we continue, I'd like to ask you about what is a human resources specialist?
Great question. And why also did I want it to become one? I have no idea. But human resources specialist is, I like to use metaphors when I explain things. I think human resources people are like mothers.
Mm.
They do lots of things. They take care of you, and you don't understand their value until the food is not good, until your shirt is not ironed. So what HR specialists do, like they do everything, but you don't realize how important they are until you don't receive your paycheck, or something is wrong about your salary, or something is wrong about your growth. Then you recognize, oh, there is a person taking care of me, my professional growth in the company. So that's what HR specialist does. Of course, there are so many different fields in it. You can be recruiter, you can hire people, fire people, you can be at the head of education, you can do trainings for employees, you can do payroll, you can do cart timekeeping. So I was doing everything. My scenario was different. I was doing everything because my coworker left and my boss was always in the meetings or traveling. So I was doing everything by myself. That's probably why I was burnt out and decided to not do any of these. I didn't enjoy it after all.
Oh, that's really interesting. I do know a little bit myself. That was one of the jobs that I did. I think I was like the assistant to the VP of HR at a small business. Um, but I've always been curious about what else it does. You know, it sounds like it's very intense at times, but you have to have a very good skill with communication and being personable with people because you're constantly speaking to a lot of people. So when you tell me now you went from HR to a coach, it completely makes sense because you must have already had some of those skills within you when you were an HR specialist that you have now translated or that you have transported into your coaching. And I'm assuming the education was very different, right? So you went to college and was your degree in HR or communications or something related to that compared to your education as a life coach now?
Kind of. I studied business administration,
Okay.
which allows you to do so many things in Turkey. It's like a generic thing to study. Of course, the main purpose to study that to become an entrepreneur. But when I selected that, that wasn't my purpose. It was just in my city, in my comfort zone. I wanted to get into that university. But that's another story.
Okay, so in order to become an NLP expert and to provide coaching, how long is the course and what does the investment look like, the financial investment?
Some trainers do different schedules. What I took was accredited by Dr. Richard Bandler, who was the founder of NLP, and the trainer was accredited by him. So I was taking from almost the first hand, and it was 3 week each module. So I took the NLP practitioner first and then NLP Master Practitioner second. So 6 weeks was the whole program. And Right now, I'm not sure the pricing because this was like 10 years ago. But at that time, I remember I invested like 2 months of my salary.
Mhm.
So it's probably around 7,000 to 10,000 US dollars
Oh,
for
that's
for two modules.
wow, that is a lot. Okay, that's good to know because it helps people understand that you can have a really successful career, whether you go spend 4 years at a university and spend well over $50,000 or spend 6 weeks, spend $10,000 to begin working for yourself. And some people might not see value in that. Some people might say, oh, but it's not that easy. And I mean, nothing's really easy. Even if you do go to college and spend all those thousands and thousands of dollars, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get a return on your investment. It all depends on how much work you put into it. Now, let's talk about um, once you graduated, you got your certification. Is there ongoing continuing education after that?
You can have the train the trainer training to become a trainer for it. I didn't want to teach NLP, so I didn't take it. So I was at the top of the knowledge that I got. But you can continue to become a trainer if you want.
Okay. And how did you begin finding your clients?
That was tough. I would be honest. I mean, everything I share, I'm honest. It's still a challenge
Mhm.
to find clients in any cases. There is no magic formula, and I think there is nothing as a rule or path that you will get certain amount of clients. If you're an entrepreneur, if you want to do your thing, you have to be ready to not have clients for a while and have a lot of clients for a certain amount of time. You just have to keep showing up. You just have to keep doing what you're doing and always educate yourself, add more trainings related to your own field. So, how did I begin? It was through school. I was just finished and quit my job, and the university that I studied had a program for students, and they were looking for coaches to do the collaboration. It was it was the free coaching because it was my first, and I still can call them clients because they were my first babies that I did coaching for them, and it was so meaningful for me because they were in my age at my version like 4 or 5 years ago. They were just studying and will graduate and didn't know what to do, so it was very meaningful for me to coach them, and we were like our ages were close, so it was a nice experience for both sides. And then after that I moved to the United States, and then I started receiving referrals from those people. That's why I always encourage people, like, if you want to become a speaker, speak as many places as many times you can, even for free, and then you can do some trades, then you can get some gift cards, and then you end up getting paid as a speaker. And it's the same for coaching. You can do free, then you can do like a cup of coffee, buy me a cup of coffee, and I'll do a session for you. And then it can change. Then you start having clients.
Right. Okay, so this probably sounds very overwhelming to somebody who of course has not dabbled into entrepreneurship. What advice would you give somebody who is interested in becoming an NLP coach as far as um, finding the right clients for them?
Get into more groups. I couldn't do in my local place. I think that is a downside for me because I jumped into the ocean that I didn't know anything and didn't know anyone. I started my journey in the US. So if I stayed in Turkey, I could have been more successful in finding clients more because I was in the local place. So what I would say, wherever you're getting your training, search for networking events, search for schools, people, and introduce yourself. Get out of there and just get in places and start showing what you do, what you want to do. That's, I think, environment is very important.
Right. Part of this journey has also you having to learn how to market yourself. So can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Yes, absolutely. I love remembering my times in the US because they were absolutely the best and the hardest times of my life. Even though I was by myself, didn't know anyone, didn't have any clue, and not able to speak the language, I remember it was so eventful. Every experience I had, every struggle I had. And when I started learning English, of course, I had to learn English first. So now I'm a coach. I learned everything, learned NLP, and I want to create my own business. And because I wanted to do this internationally and I wanted to add more training, and get the NLP training and coaching training in English. That's why I moved to US. And that was part of my childhood dream to move to US. So I'm like, okay, I will learn where it was born. It was born in Los Angeles. And I wanted to take Tony Robbins trainings, Brandon Bouchard's trainings. I took all those trainings. And then I realized this is a part of being an immigrant. I needed to either enroll a school or do something to stay in the US. I wanted to stay and I decided to study something. I found University of California and at that time in 2017 digital marketing was just becoming a trend. And people told me, study that. You will need to market yourself as a professional coach and you want to launch your own business, you need to learn these things. And then this will give you a year to study. And then after you study, if you can graduate and if you can find a job, you can stay in the US one more year with the work permit. So that was a good deal. And I just apply. I got IELTS, I believe, or TOEFL. I'm not sure. And I got the enough points, and then I was able to got the acceptance from University of California. I studied global media communications and digital marketing. That was how again, it was for me. It was selfish first, but then my instructors, before I even graduated, my instructors hired me as their assistant, as their social media manager, and I started practicing. And again, I wanted to get more trainings. I got sales trainings. That's how we met with you. And I got speaking trainings. And in those trainings, I got more clients. And I said, okay, this is working. This is bringing me some income and experience. And I can add this next to my coaching. I can offer two services. So that's how I created my business name, Joy Marketing and Coaching. And it just becomes huge part of my business right now because I will add what I said before. It's hard and challenging to find clients in coaching, one-on-one coaching. But what I found is working is group coaching works more because people still get the value and pay less. And for the branding marketing side, has a lot of power than one-on-one coaching because it is business related. It brings clients to your clients, and everybody needs branding and marketing. So I just see more potential in that. So that's why my focus has been there more.
Wow. Okay. So I had no idea that you had gone to University of California and done that whole program. That is incredible. I already thought you were incredible, but this just adds to it because I remember. you told me you were worried about how good your English was. And I mean, you have got to be so proud of yourself for having achieved so much that so many people from the United States who are born here do not do. I think that's the beauty of being an immigrant. You come to a place like the United States and you see the opportunity, you take advantage of that opportunity, and you make something beautiful of it. And I just had to say that because not everybody is able to do that. And you really took a huge risk on yourself. You were in the US without a full-time job. And I remember you telling me you had to get so many clients in order to pay the rent. And you were always you were you were like worried that you had to meet your goals. You had that drive. And I think that's one of the things that I want people listening to take away is that you have to have the drive to go into working for yourself. I personally believe that that is the way that most people should live their lives. That's just me being biased. Like I tell my children, I want you to work for yourself, for your own dreams instead of somebody else's. But I also do understand that not everybody has the grit, the desire,
Mhm.
the discipline, the passion, the motivation to do what you have done. But one of my other questions is we're talking a lot about NLP, which is a modality of rewiring your brain, right? The way that you think. So, when you began, did you immediately begin looking for clients to help them from on their personal goals, or has it always been entrepreneurs or business people looking to improve themselves professionally?
I've had clients on both sides. I still have clients. We are talking about their personal issues, but I have clients talking about their professional issues or like reverse. They switch too, because I believe everybody needs a coach to talk about anything and everything. And I do have a coach too. I love to talk about my issues, my mind. We all go through so many things in our head. So I think that the modality really helps you to think clear and recognize what's up there and how you can clear that, because we all have thoughts, but there's a way to clean them up and put more stuff in it. And yeah, that's
Yeah, what are and I can imagine that even if you go into getting some NLP coaching or just coaching overall with you, it's bound to um, this is bound to happen where the personal and the professional are going to meet at some point because you can't completely separate both of them, which is why I love that you also have Reiki training. So can you tell us a little bit about what that is and also what type of training did you go through to earn that certification?
we all are made of energy. I don't know how many of listeners believe in that. I know you believe in it. And even if I talk about this, I feel my hands getting warm. So I always believed that there is a spiritual side of me, but I didn't really recognize until I meet my friend who was a Reiki trainer who taught me that you have a gift and you need to learn about this. And I was like, oh, I don't need it. I have stuff going on. I don't want to invest in, because that's another thing that you have to pay. And I'm like, I don't want it, and I'm not going to use it. And then again, I thought, okay, things are tough in my life. So in 2020, when I chose to move back to Turkey with the pandemic, I had so many challenges when I was in the US and I got sick. I was probably one of the first COVID people, and they didn't diagnose it, and they just tried so many injections on me. I couldn't heal, and I just had to go back to Turkey. And after that, I realized how my path and spirituality got into me, and I just saw so many signs in my life. And I went back to my friend and said, I'm ready to take this training. So in 2021, when I visited US, I stayed 1 month and I completed the training with my friend. And that training was also for me to understand how can I protect my energy? How can I set a clear zone atmosphere for my clients? So it really helps me to create a safe zone with before I get on a call. I did it today too. Like I always clear the space and do a little prayer, affirmations, and I just believe it protects. It helps me to speak through my heart and speak the truth always. And it is an energy training. Briefly, you learn how to clear your energy, you learn how to get centered, and I didn't go further. There are more steps in that because I didn't want to teach or use it in my clients. I did a couple of sessions in the past when people ask me to do, but right now I just do to my relatives, my friends who ask me to do, but in my day-to-day life, I just use it to just support my coaching and branding calls and speaking engagements. I just use it for me.
Yeah. And one of the things that I have learned throughout this entrepreneurial journey is that mindset and your energy will determine sometimes your success. I think most of the times. Because if your mind is not clear and your energy
Hmm.
is blocked, then no matter how much you try, it's not really gonna plan out the way that you want it to. And you're right, not a lot of people believe in energy. I definitely do. It has been definitely a life changer when I pay attention to how I am feeling. And I do see that more and more people uh are learning about it and accepting it. Otherwise, there wouldn't even be a business for Reiki practitioners. Um, I think it is essential to the human condition to be able to tap into your energy, not only to yours, but other people. Like when you're doing business, when you're taking care of a child or speaking with other family members or business people, being able to feel that energy is really important. And I think that a lot of people are able to do it, but they don't understand that that's Reiki. They don't have a name for it. As
Hmm.
far as working with your clients today, you do a lot of the NLP, of course, mindset work and the marketing. Can we talk a little bit more about the marketing work that you do? Like, what do you think you were not taught throughout your training that you've had to learn on your own to implement in your business?
Hmm. Waiting. I think the waiting part, they didn't tell me to jump right in. They told me to do everything right, everything perfect. You have to have everything in a perfect scene. I remember in my classes, we were studying like how the website should look like, where the call to actions should be in, and I was just working on my own website. I had a person who were doing for me in Turkey, and I just received lots of feedback, negative feedback, and I ended up not having a website like until 2019, I guess. I studied in 2017, so it took me 2 years to like, oh, which font should I take? What should I write? Let's look at this website. Let's do it this way. I kept changing and changing and changing. I think people who are there listening to us or watching us, if you want to do something, if you want to start something, and I learned this just a couple of months ago. It just, you hit the wall and you understand because you want to see your role model or somebody who is really famous got their name out there as New York Times bestselling author and motivational speaker. Until you see them doing something and not doing it, I think that's how you accept. That's how I accepted that I didn't have to be perfect.
Mhm.
One of my role models, I was really looking after her and really taking what she's teaching for branding, marketing. And when I looked at her website, it was outdated. And her offers were on Google Docs, not even branded, not even with her colors. It was just a simple text, but she was getting, she is a seven-figure business owner. And I was like, and I was spending all this money and time into getting the perfect looking website. And then what am I gonna do? Sit and watch my website is great, but people are not coming. So I think it's better to show up, even if your video is not perfect, even you make a grammar mistake. I still make grammar mistakes sometimes, and I don't care because it's my second language and it's always going to be. And if they care about that and not the value I bring, then they're not my audience. So it took me 10 years to accept this. I think I can say that. Don't wait to feel ready and have all the educations, all the perfect things on your plate to start. Just start.
I am so glad that you just gave us that example and you touched on that because I think a lot of us entrepreneurs do focus on we have to get it perfect. And you're right. There have been people where I look at their stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so simple. I'm over here overthinking it, thinking I have to spend or have
Mm-hmm.
this beautiful design, and it doesn't have to be. And the other thing I think is really important to note is that you are literally learning everything as you go because everybody, I think that that's one thing I learned. Everybody figures it out. Nobody
Yes.
born. And I was like, this is crazy. Why did I think that these people who are making multi-million dollars knew exactly what to do at the beginning? And one thing that helped me a long time ago was I saw one of those interviews and they said this multi-million dollar producer, he said the difference between me and you, him being a multi-million dollar person, um, and somebody starting, is that every time that I failed, I got back up and I did it differently until I figured it out. And you might not do that. A lot of people don't. They fail and they stop there. And so that has helped me stay afloat because I too struggle just like you have, and it's not easy, but I think the mindset work is definitely very valuable. I think that people really need to invest in that as one of their first investments.
Yes.
And because the mind is powerful, what you believe is what you're going to end up creating. So can you give us a little more detail of how is the modality of NLP different than any other modality? Why is it so powerful?
It has 10 modalities. One of them really inspires me every single day. It is what you do one thing is how you do everything. How you do one thing is how you do everything. This is the correct version. And I always remember this whenever I go out. Let's say, I think this is very important because to for the environment too. Like you eat something or you drop something on the street. Will you leave it there or will you take it?
Mhm.
Or the bathrooms. You use the bathrooms, restrooms, and will you leave it as how you want to find it or not? I think this is maybe a very lame example, but it really changed my thinking because before I was thinking everybody throws their trash on the street. I'll do it too. Mine will not make the world the worst place. But what if you don't do? And you are the example for people around you. You are the example for your family, for your husband, your relatives, your friends. And then they will do the same thing because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And it's like, okay, If I am late for a meeting, then I will not take care of my other things in my personal life. It really is a ripple effect that you change, maybe not one day, but day by day, if you apply this modality, one of them, you change. And another thing is the statement of what happens. Let's say it rains. It's it's the fact, it's what's happening right now. It could be anything in our life. Let's say we are unemployed right now. That is just one statement. It's 10%. 90% is how you do comment on it, how you feel about it, what you do with it is 90%. Everybody has those statements. It's a neutral statement. What you do with it creates the negativity or positivity. You can be a victim or you can turn it into your own advantage. I think this is also this another powerful tool that NLP taught me. I think that has been my motivation from US, from now I'm in Hungary. I've lived in four different countries, so I think that is a big motivation for me. Whatever happens, I'll find a way to be happy.
Hmm.
I will find a way to get out of this situation because it is just a fact. It
Hmm.
is not my truth. It's just what happens, and 90% is still in my control.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I love that you just said that. So, as a NLP practitioner, instead of working for myself as a coach,
Mhm.
is there an option to be hired by a certain type of company to do the same thing?
Hmm. I believe I believe so, but I still think it is not the world we live in yet. If you're an ICF accredited life coach, then there are companies hires coaches. They hire coaches, but still it's not super common in the world. So I think what you were saying earlier, invest in this and become an NLP Master Practitioner, life coach, and be hired by someone is a little hard path to take still. It's easier if you just show up and pursue clients, or just get speaking gigs and then you can get clients through that experience. And that's also another path to take because you can know a lot of things in certain topic, but you cannot be an expert speaker on that topic. So you need to get better at speaking. So that's another thing. But I wouldn't do that to start with your career, waiting someone to hire you. I think it's still hard, even though I don't know much about that because I never really searched for it.
Okay. If a parent is listening right now, what advice would you give them if their child just said, you know what, mom, I think I want to get an NLP practitioner certification and start looking for clients. And let's assume the parent is like, oh no, they're scared. What would you say to that parent?
I would say talk to Delhi because you just said you want your kids to follow their heart. Um, it wasn't my family case. My dad is a very traditional Turkish man, and he just said, when I said to him, I'm gonna quit and I will just do this, he's like, you're out of your mind, you're crazy, you will end up being unemployed and depressed, you will lose your life. And he created all those scenarios. My mom was more neutral, she was more supportive, but then they saw. I think the best advice is listen to your child. If they really want to do something, let them do. Because honestly, I hopefully will have a child one day. And my husband and I were having this conversation the other day because how college and everything is so expensive in these days. And we both look at into our life. He's a chief of financial affairs and he worked abroad all the time. He has this amazing background and he doesn't use any of the language, any of the knowledge he gained from high school or university, and I don't either. And we both look at into our life and investment that our parents made was not worth it. So
Mm.
we are thinking like maybe we will not let our child go to high school and university. Maybe we will just focus on her or him, her skills, what she wants to do in this life, and just invest in those skills. I think this is more important. All the parents who are listening to me right now, even though I'm a 33 years old, not parent yet, talking about speaking from my experience and what I see around me, we just want to be happy. Your child is just want to be happy. They don't have to become the best doctor in the world. They don't have to be an Einstein. They just want to live a happy life. So if
Mhm.
they want to do something, NLP is the best investment. Even if they're not going to do it as a job, it is great for them to be happy in life.
Buju, as a parent, I approve your message 1000%. Because you are absolutely right. The formal education we receive is not the thing that gets us the great job, or even better, the fulfillment from what we will do in our lives. And I think that there are a lot of parents out there who don't agree with what you just said, and me backing you with that. But the reality is that I think I'm seeing it more and more with people switching to that mentality, noticing that with everything going on with technology, with AI, with social issues in the world, the formal education in high school and in college is not giving a good return on investment, because I can tell you there is not one. I mean, writing is really great. Of course, getting your general high school education, whether it's homeschooled or however you want to do it, is fine. But even traditionally, though, I think that traditional high school doesn't teach you as well as you could learn in other ways, in order to help
Mhm.
you just switch I think it's very boxed in. In high school, not it's rare to see a high school that teaches entrepreneurship. It is like a pipeline to go work for somebody else. And that
Yes.
right now is not paying the bills for most people. And so we really need to explore these other opportunities, and hopefully people, if anything, will look into NLP and get coaching. And that's one of the things I want to encourage people. If you want coaching, whether personal or professional, reach out to Burcu. Yes. So Burcu, where can people find you?
I usually use Instagram. It is at JOYYBURCU. And that's another thing that I want to share. Just pick one platform, be on it, be master on it, share your content. Don't try to be everywhere, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. No, just pick one platform and just share that with everyone, and it's so easy to remember. Burcu, Instagram. If I shared everything, they're like, oh, where to go? And I go nowhere. That's what happened to me. Years. Now I'm like, stick with just one channel.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I'm Instagram. People are always like, "Oh, you're not on TikTok. You should get on TikTok." No, thank you. No. My base is Instagram. That's where people know me and find me. So yeah. Well, Bushu, thank you so much once again for coming back to the podcast. I hope that people reach out to you if they have any questions, or if they want, to get coaching from you. And we'll have to do this again next time.
Thank you for having me. And I'm here if you need any help for your personal or professional life. Happy to help.
Thank you.
Hey, did you like that episode? I have an ask. Would you mind leaving me a review? It would really help me improve this podcast so that you can come back and keep listening. Also, don't forget to check me out at dalitalks.com and follow me on social media at dalitalks. Until next time.